All right, welcome class. Today, we're going to get into one of the most fundamental strategic questions in all of business. It's something that, I guarantee, will come up again and again in your careers.
So let's start with a practical puzzle, one you've probably all seen in the real world. You're planning a trip, you're looking at hotels, and the giant sprawling resort is somehow cheaper than the little boutique hotel next door. It doesn't seem to make sense, right? More amenities should mean a higher price. But this isn't a mistake. It's a core microeconomic principle in action, and as future managers, you absolutely have to master it.
The answer to that puzzle lies in a core concept known as economies of scale. Now, this is way more than just a textbook definition. Mastering this idea is what separates the titans of industry, your Walmarts, your Amazons, from everyone else. It is the engine of their growth.
Okay, so what does this actually mean? In the simplest terms, the bigger you get, the cheaper it becomes to make each individual thing. It's that simple. Think of a car factory. If you're building 1 million cars, you get a much better deal on steel than a guy in his garage building 2. It's the exact same logic with our resort. The more rooms you have, the lower your average cost per room becomes for everything from laundry to marketing.
Okay, so that's the theory. But let's move from the classroom to the boardroom. How does this actually show up on a balance sheet? Where do these cost savings actually come from? Let's dive into the mechanics.
Right. So these cost advantages don't just magically appear. They are the direct result of specific operational efficiencies that are only possible once a business hits a certain size.
Now, there are a few different sources, but for our discussion today, we're going to focus on the two heavy hitters, purchasing economies and technical economies, basically buying power and better equipment.
So let's start with purchasing economies. This one's pretty intuitive. Put yourself in the procurement manager's shoes. Your negotiating power is directly tied to the size of your order. It's one thing to ask for a price on 2 items. It's a completely different conversation when you're ordering 10,000.
And this chart just lays it out beautifully. Look at this. The massive resorts chain ordering 10,000 beds. To that supplier, they aren't just a customer. They're a major business partner guaranteeing a huge volume of sales. That is worth a massive discount. Meanwhile, the small homestay ordering 2 beds, they have zero leverage. They're paying the standard retail price, end of story. Now, getting good deals on supplies is a huge part of it, but it's not the whole story. Scale also unlocks the ability to invest in bigger, better, more efficient technology. And this is where we get into what are called technical economies.
Let's look at the specific numbers from our source material because they are incredibly telling. The large resort can afford a massive industrial laundry machine. Yes, it's a huge upfront cost, but look at the result. The cost to launder 1 sheet is just 500 rupiah. The small hotel is stuck using a regular home washing machine. Their cost? 4 times higher. 75%. Let that number sink in. That is a 75% cost reduction on a basic, daily operational task. As a manager, that is a colossal competitive advantage. You can use that saving to lower your room rates. You can reinvest it into better amenities. Or you can just pocket it as higher profit. That is the raw power of scale.
So, based on everything we've seen, the logical conclusion seems pretty clear, doesn't it? The strategy must be to just grow, 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 get as big as possible, as fast as possible. But here's the thing. This is a classic trap, and it's a mistake that has sunk many, many companies.
Because there is a hidden danger to growth. There is absolutely a point of diminishing returns, a point where your size starts to work against you. This is the other side of the paradox.
And there's a name for it. Diseconomies of scale. It's the point on the graph where that beautiful downward cost curve stops going down and starts to creep back up. Your cost per unit actually starts to increase as you get bigger. So the critical question is, why? Why does this happen? It really all boils down to a single word: complexity. The organization simply becomes too big, too convoluted, too difficult to steer. A small company is like a speedboat. It's nimble. It can turn on a dime. A giant corporation is like an aircraft carrier. It's incredibly powerful, sure, but it's also slow, bureaucratic, and takes an immense amount of coordination just to change course.
And these aren't just abstract concepts. They are real, tangible problems that show up on your profit and loss statement. Communication fails. The front desk makes a promise to a guest that housekeeping knows nothing about. Bureaucracy takes over, adding layers of management that slow down decisions and bloat the payroll. And maybe worst of all, alienation sets in. Your employees feel like they're just a number, morale tanks, and your best people start to leave. These are human problems with very real financial costs.
So this brings us right to the central challenge for any executive, for any leader of a growing enterprise. This is the tightrope you'll have to walk.
And honestly, this quote says it all. This is the key takeaway for today. The goal of a CEO is to grow big enough to get the discounts, but not so big that they lose control. It's not about growth for its own sake. The goal is to find that sweet spot, to get all the benefits of scale without being crushed by the weight of complexity.
So, I'll leave you with this final thought, a question to carry with you as you analyze businesses throughout your careers. How will you know? What are the metrics, the warning signs you'll look for to tell you when your company's greatest strength, its size, is on the verge of becoming its biggest weakness? Answering that question is the true test of leadership.